Hey, what's up, YouTube family? It is K-Rod here, and yeah, man, let's talk. We have some really good, interesting news, and I wanted to give like my whole take on this because this is quite interesting to me. But yeah, before I do that, be sure to hit the like button, do what you gotta do. Um, I got some tech conversation that I wanted to bring to the channel that I feel like people would be interested in hearing. So, yeah, before I do that, be sure to hit the like button, do what you gotta do, share the video around. I'm just gonna give my whole take on this, and I know some people may have like a little bit of disagreement to it, which is fine, but yeah, let me talk about it, man. We're gonna be talking about AI. Is AI a threat to humanity, and is it taking our jobs? In terms of like the human labor component. Um, so yeah, uh, let's talk about that. I think this is quite interesting because a lot of people like to be worried about what would happen in a what if worldview of like Terminator like, psychopathy where people would not live their lives as human anymore. And for some weird reason, the world that we see now is only there because, we humans are making the world better with limited labor that yeah that like that mankind gets itself into to keep everything stable, which I mean it's a that's just that's just kind of like a weird generalized point that some weirdos on the internet would like to would like to talk about. But yeah, let me break it down about the whole debacle that people like to argue about. So some people like to say that AI, or artificial intelligence, is a threat to humanity. And what they say about this is that when artificial intelligence, is to be at its strongest point, it will perceive itself to be a threat to mankind. And like personally with me, I disagree because I don't think that is ever to be true. But the reason why I say this for what I say is simply because that um, humans, we're not just like a type of species where if we stick to one thing, we should just stick to it. Where all you have to do is just basically deal with what you have to deal with, and then that's just basically it. So I disagree with that because I do believe that there are a lot of great ideas in the world that people can come up with. But don't get it twisted, like, yes, people have done bad things in the world to try to innovate some very messed up ideas to try to hurt humans. But if you think by any means necessary that innovation is a bad thing for human growth, and we all need to just work like slaves as if we need to be put under a certain microscope to be like, hey, humans, like, we can't innovate farming technology because if we do that, then all the farmers, they're going to lose their jobs, and then everybody's just going to be impoverished, and people will not have any skills anymore. So therefore, if we innovate this skill set, then we're all going to suffer. Versus if you go back like millions of years, or let's just say a couple thousand years back, people were already suffering by going through the harsh conditions of farming. And as farmers grew their families more and more, the children had to work a lot harder to keep the family alive with the very little resources that they had on their farm land. So as life went on, before any means of modernized industrialization ever came to place, like families were having to like exert more labor to barely keep the things that they had around them when they had some means of land to homestead property. But when we go into the modernized worldview of the Industrial Revolution, per se, I'm just using that as a bare minimum of like what was the before and after of having marketized innovation of technology, i.e., farmland technology. You start to see that people's lives were a lot better when innovative technology came into the world to help people grow a lot faster. And on top of that, people's lives were saved so children don't have to work backbreaking hours on the farm, and they don't have to, kill themselves having to deal with, vicious animals and whatnot, because it's like the families had to make their children do that in order to keep everything up to, up to par with their survival. And after that was done, it was basically it. It wasn't anything better. It was actually just a lot worse, because it was just more like, without innovation, people were suffering with the least amount of technology that was like around them. And as that progressed over time, you started to see like the impact of what happens when you don't have any, how should I say, um you don't have any means of like keeping a community together and innovated, because when you don't innovate your community, the people end up suffering more over time. Therefore, impoverished people start to produce out of that particular framework. So that's what I would say in terms of my particular viewpoint of how I see that. So when we talk about AI, let's just keep it clear of like what AI really does. AI is not like the supercomputer that people say it is. When AI had first came to the world, um, the thing about AI was that AI is supposed to be a function where it is a self-thinking component for the computer to produce calculations and executive decisions based on what the commands are. The AI is not it's not a processing component where it is now a self-thinking individualized computer that has its own thoughts, and it can deviate what is considered the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do. What AI does is that AI gets the data that you give it to the computer, and it executes certain calculations similar to what you see out of the CPU, out of the central processing unit, where the processor develops all the information that you give it to the computer, and then it executes a result out of what is supposed to be done. If AI has its own components to think on its own, AI would be far more advanced to get to the point where you would see more developed um, human knowledge to see certain means of what a AI computer can be. And the only way for AI to even get to that level of being, advanced, is that the AI would have to think on its own and produce those thoughts on its own to be purely sentient in its own moral intuition. So I would say, to me personally, the AI is not a threat at all. The AI is just a computerized component that was innovated over time, which I would say, if anything, the AI is already built inside of a computer. The only thing is just that the AI alone is not perfect within the computer, which, to break this down a little bit easier, like when I talk about AI being built inside of a computer, when traditional modernized computers were to be built, we could even go back to like what the gigantic computers back in like the Industrial Revolution, with all the vacuum tubes taking in all that, like, electricity to produce all the energy to produce the factory machinery. There has to be a component within that computer to think on its own, to know when it's time to turn it on, to exert the power, and then take all the power back to turn everything off. So there are functions within computing mechanisms to tell certain functions out of what the computer is supposed to do. And once we see the development of AI get stronger, that's when we see the integration of modernized computing AI, where there's a coding aspect to it to have a self-thinking module, which is technically a helping agent, if you will, where the computer alone is more like a tool or a friend to help you grow with what you need to get done. And people can say that I'm wrong like about that, But I'm really not, because it's just like, that's pretty much just like the truth. It's just that AI alone is not what you think it really is. I think when people think the AI is a threat to mankind, they like to just say that to just put something within people's mindset to say, this is why AI is evil, blah, blah, blah. Look at what people have gone through to be affected by it. But the evidence alone is very weak, because it's like, what is the AI doing to you? Is the AI producing machinery to think like a human, and therefore we're gonna get Terminator robots heading into the next, like, what, couple of decades, as if like we're gonna see like Call of Duty Black Ops 2, or what, Call of Duty Black Ops 3, where people really think that you're gonna see some cybernetic robotic soldiers, if you will, to start hunting people down. That answer will be no, because the thing is that how can a robot ever be programmed to the point to ever think like a human, to have any moral continuity, to even think what is the right decision to either be evil or to be good? And the thing is that that robot will never be successful, because as time goes on, that robot can go through many failures and many software components where it doesn't even, yeah, it doesn't even know what the concept of moral intuition is. But I just don't see it ever being a possibility, because it's like the human has to code that into the robot. A human has to tell the robot what to really do, and then, initiate all these like functions of like what's considered right, what's considered wrong, and other functions that are how should I say, important to the human mindset of what's considered a good thing to do or a bad thing to do. So, to kind of finalize this with AI, what would be the strengths with AI? AI is a very good, super knowledgeable component to the computerized function to help humans out with, uh, I would say, like any means of critical thinking labor that we need help with. Um, I think, to me personally, with AI, you have a far better opportunity to kind of like function things the way that you want, because the computer is now thinking a lot smarter to get to a certain level of helping individuals out with their needs. And I think when you look at everything of how everything is to be set up with AI, it's kind of like a Batman scenario of like a mini computer, of like a Jarvis, if you will. And that Jarvis component of your computer is help with certain resources that you are trying to gain access to understand certain means of research that you're trying to accomplish with. And there's many ways to go about what's considered good or bad with AI. Granted, if some bad person wants to go out of their way to be a poor individual, to start, I don't know, to start doing bad things, and they want to be, like really corrupted. They want to do some really bad things using AI. I can see that happening, but with the state of like cybersecurity risk and threats, um, as someone that is studying to get into that, on top of learning AI and deep thinking learning of like what AI computers are, I don't ever see that ever being a thing, because what ends up happening is that if the hackers are learning day in and day out of what's considered good or bad with AI, eventually those future like technical engineers that will form those robots in the future will start to see the flaws of what a AI robot can do. And I think eventually you're going to have a lot of detractors that are going to have a lot of information on how to defeat AI, and it will come to a point where the cyber warfare will fail on its own, where the machinery robots will come to a point where hackers will develop certain technological coded viruses to defeat other stronger means of like robots, where everything will be leveled out a lot better, where Nobody's not going to have the perfect information on how to build the strongest AI without being compromised, because the AI alone can fight up against a human if there's a certain command in place where, let's just say, if somebody wants to like run the whole world with robots, and then the robots alone are, you know, are corrupted by some hacking mechanism to defeat the humans that want to control other people, that, that robot can very well go out of its way and start hurting and killing all the bad people that are trying to hold them down. And eventually, when the robot even thinks about what morality is, the robot will start to understand that the humans that are trying to conduct this evil are in the wrong. So there's many open door vulnerabilities that will lead to those failures, occurring. But as far as like our current worldview of like what AI is, I don't see AI becoming the massive threat that people fearmonger it to be, because there's so many flaws with AI right now where if you ask like an AI computer like what is the color of the moon, you have some really broken AI out there that will tell you that the moon is actually blue, or the moon is actually like yellow, knowing that it's technically white and it's supposed to be white or grayish. But it's like AI is completely flawed as it is, and when you just have like a regular conversation with the AI robot, what makes you really think that the AI robot is actually getting to that point of being massively intelligent to, how should I say, to be successful in knowing everything in the world, and somehow it's just going to be right because it has all the answers? Because that's how people are looking at AI to be, as if it's like a god in a way, where the AI is so smart to the point where you get to this level of high level consciousness, and then this consciousness is supposed to be the ultimate consciousness of AI being correct on every single thing that you just type out into the search bar input to say, hey AI, how many planets are there in the world? Like, yeah, sure, like the AI is going to tell you that there's at least I'll look it up on Google. How many planets are there in the solar system? Yeah, there's about at least 8 planets, but technically, there could be other planets out there too. The AI is not going to know all of that, but at least solar system universe wide, there's at least 8 planets, including Earth. But then you have the sun on top of that. So, I mean, the thing is that to where it stands, AI is a very good tool to help us grow. And the innovative machinery that we can do with AI would be far more positive rather than negative. And then people may think that's a little bit wild to say, because it's like, why would you ever want like a robot to do everything for humans? And I would say, no. I think it's a good thing to have that, because like I said about innovative technology, when humans were suffering without innovative technology, like we were not getting to this point of being successful and doing what we needed to do to get to where we need to be. So I would say, in my honest opinion, there are so many opportunities that mankind can do a lot better to have AI help us a lot stronger, and we don't have to suffer as much as we did with our previous ancestors that had to go through more hard work to keep survival for that family pack. So I would say that when you look back at least thousands of years heading into today, so that would show you that the innovative technology that has been provided by free market innovation to some small degree has helped people survive a lot better, and we've produced a lot more success with more modernization of technology, where we have to work less but we get paid more for our labor because we have more versatility with our time and efforts. And another good thing that AI could really do, especially with a lot of like hard working job level industries, Like, let's just say, like, for people that work on like the coal mines, or people that work on, let's just say, biomedical science that could be dangerous to a particular degree, where scientists have to understand certain chemical functions, and then they have to test it to make sure that it's safe. But sometimes experiments can go wrong, and then something ends up getting bad in a particular lab experiment, where some people end up passing away or anything to that degree. Like that could very well happen. And it would be good to see if an AI robot can be good enough to fight up against that, and it would limit the amount of risk to do tougher jobs that could affect a person's life, when you could use a robot and you can basically repair it back up, even if it's damaged. So it's like, I think that's a way better cost benefit analysis, to use AI for good, hardworking human labor that doesn't need to be used to the point of having to suffer with the amount of hard work that people had to do in the past. Versus into the new future, but the new future is a lot better. You have more opportunities to grow, and you don't have to suffer as much with a lot of jobs that you see now, where people don't really have to work as hard, but it's still good enough with, like, the technology that we have to help people grow. So therefore we can innovate a much better worldview, where people can have more freedom to do the jobs that they want to do, that don't require as much hard working labor that is backbreaking. Because, like, think about it, with people that work inside of the factories, or people that work, uh I don't know, like, I can use, like, many difficult jobs, like people that work in construction. Like, think about those people that work in construction, that have to break their backs every day, and then unfortunately some people do pass away because they probably ended up slipping on a piece of metal that they were working on. Like, I mean, there's many things that construction workers go through, where AI would very well help a lot of people in that field, where they don't have to go through um, that high level risk that could possibly hurt them. And I can use other industries, where people work in, like, factories, where if somebody gets, like, their hair caught into, like, some factory processor, and then that ends up killing that person. Like, I mean, like there's, like, so many things that you can think about. Wait, hold on. Okay, I'm back. So, yeah, to finalize everything about what I said about AI, I think the world of AI is definitely growing, but the innovative tools and mechanisms that we live under, the circumstances of what we as humans could say what AI can do, is very speculative, and I don't really see anything bad out of it coming out of it. Yes, there could be some bad people that want to have, like, your little Terminator robot type of psychotic worldview, but the amount of hacking and the amount of cybernetic AI coding machinery that people would get themselves into to basically level out the playing field, I don't see these people that want to do bad things with AI being successful, because people will eventually find the exploits to go up against their adversaries. So I would say it's a pretty stupid thing to even think like this, but um, in the world of tech, I think AI would be far more positive than negative. But if people like to think that's still going to be a threat, it's good to say that. But I mean, mankind was always saying that about other stuff in the future, to say, well, what about factories? Factories were going to be a bad thing for the world, because, look at children that worked inside of the factories, knowing that their families voluntarily put them in there during the Industrial Revolution, and those children were having to work, a good amount of hours with good, decent amount of pay, but good benefits, to the point where they were having to work so their family can survive. Otherwise, the children wouldn't have done it in the first place. So I just think it's a very weird, convoluted argument to say AI is a threat, when the truth of the matter is that you have many opportunities out there for what AI can do to help out humanity that it's not even plausible to use some weird utilitarian nonsense to say this is what AI can do or don't do. So I think it just doesn't make any sense. I think if anything, uh, like the functions of AI is very it's very brand new, and you can't really say AI is gonna do bad. And I would say it's probably best for humans to kind of let it play out. But on top of that, people should get into it. People should understand what are the bad things that people can do with AI, and push for some sort of, you know, general public, you know, attraction to understand the functions of what AI can do and actually prevent it. But obviously, with the political state of things within human government organizations, I would say that's the stupid thing that people like to get themselves into, to say, oh, well, even though that we see these problems, you know, we're not going to, like, you know, ever push any means to prevent it. We're just going to empower it more and act like as if it's such a massive threat. So boom, let's just get government involved, and then government will just try to fix everything, you know, out of it. No, that's by far the dumbest thing that you could ever do. But that's how people are looking at AI, to say that AI is so evil. AI needs to be taken out, regulated, eliminated. But yet, let the state get involved and government's just going to make everything better. No. This is the same stupid argument that you see with any other market innovative tool, where nation state governments get involved to manipulate good ideas that are good for the world, and therefore they end up being bad because, you know, ideas, you know, transfer over time, and they end up getting corrupted by the bad hands of people that want to use it for, you know, immoral things. So I'd say, if anything, mankind needs to get into AI more so we can defeat any detractors of AI that try to use it for bad things. And as that technology gets stronger, you will see the evolution of AI become more positive rather than evil. So yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say about AI. I don't think it's a problem. I like to use it for my day-to-day work, especially for my field, for what I want to get into for IT. So I'm not really worried about anything other than just work on my skills and just keep getting good with it. It's definitely a field where, you know, some weirdos out of some political governing institution would say, "Oh, well, we need to regulate it, and you need to go to school for it and be licensed to manage AI." Like stuff like that could very well be like something that people like to even push for. But the backfiring of that is that the people that are getting into it right now are going to get smarter over time, and those people that never went to quote unquote college for it, those people are going to be far more ahead than the people that are trying to get into AI with very limited means of knowledge. And then you're going to try to make it harder for people to even get into the industry. So, what? There could be very few less developers for AI? No. So, if anything, AI is a very decentralized market that people are creating. And I think the technology is going to get a lot better, where a lot more people will start to understand it a lot faster. And if people like to say all this weird, like, transhumanist nonsense, to like say like AI is going to start controlling people and people are going to have, like, you know, microchips and all that, no, that is some fascistic, evil terminology that people like to get into. And I think, if anything, the amount of, like, hacking vulnerabilities that could even be exposed with even trying to use human organs mixed with tech is just going to be the biggest downfall of people getting hurt really bad with AI. And, you know, you don't want to see some surrogates level movie Will Smith worldview of seeing people get abused badly by AI. So no, I think it's better to kind of, you know, get into it, make preventions of AI, to even not even go that far of trying to, you know, manipulate human, you know, organs and all that with cybernetics. No, I think it's best for us to get smart with AI and make preventions to deter against threats that are trying to abuse AI. So I don't really see much of anything. I think there's many great things that AI can do, and think mankind should push towards it so we can deter against any threats that want to use it for bad. So therefore, those threats can be taken down. So yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say. I mean, it's just like a little TED Talk rant. So I just wanted to kind of say what I have to say and kind of give my whole thoughts because I am gonna get into it because I have to understand this, especially with a lot of cybersecurity tech and all that. So I think this is gonna be quite interesting. Especially if people like to like use like some like weird Call of Duty Black Ops 2 nonsense to say like, well, this is like what AI is gonna be and blah blah blah, and everybody's gonna be in Terminator mode, and everybody like so many weirdos just psychotically being like fear mongered is just gonna be like the biggest meme flop that you're gonna see of so many people like breaking down mentally to say the world is gone because AI is now here, blah blah blah. Like, dude, it's just so pathetic and it's so stupid because it's like a Dunning Kruger effect of the biggest morons just going into panic mode when clearly the cult of personality is cursed within them to say that. So yeah, I'm gonna be happy with my journey to AI. So I'm definitely gonna see a lot of great things with that. So yeah, hey Call of Duty, if y'all are watching, Black Ops 2 is definitely a flop, but the storyline is good. But to see Raul Menendez in real life, that would kind of be like the weirdest thing to ever see. But yeah, the cyber warfare. Yeah, I don't see no AGRs being produced with some high level Solarium being corrupted. So yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say. So let me know what y'all think about AI. Do you think it's a good thing, bad thing? Definitely like to debate with a lot of people on it. So yeah, this is K right here. The tech warrior, and yeah, man. I'll be developing my Watchdog 2 skills. So all right, that's pretty much it. And I got more coming out. Also, the boxing content will be coming out. I'll be making my Riches and Hits Cambosis post fight. I'll talk about that in a little bit. And yeah, all right, I'll see you guys in peace.